All right, in this video, I'm going to share with you my experience of traveling in Air India, the national carrier of India, the pride of India, the Maharaj. I don't know if that is still being used, and why it is without a doubt the worst airline, the worst experience, and the worst flying experience I've ever had. In fact, to give you a perspective, these are the airlines I've flown with: Emirates, Etihad, Kuwait Airways, Middle East Airlines, Oman Air, Royal Jordan. I've even traveled with Cathay Pacific. I've traveled with Qantas. Then which other did I miss? Qatar, I said Singapore, Lufthansa. Okay, I've traveled with all these. And you'll be surprised to know that I even traveled with Bangladesh Biman and Pakistan International Airways or Airlines or whatever. You'll be shocked to know that the only problem I had with Pakistan Airlines and Bangladesh Biman, which is the lowest in the experience, was not because the staff were unprofessional. Rather, the aircraft was so old, I could literally feel the whole aircraft vibrating, especially Bangladesh Biman. I thought the aircraft would fall into pieces. It was like you could hear the screws and you could hear everything shaking. I was like, man, I'm going to, I seriously thought I was going to die. Okay. But staff, everyone were perfectly fine. But then why is Air India the worst of the worst? I'll tell you now. This unfortunate decision or mistake I made was after I traveled to India for a business trip. On my way back, for some god-awful reason, I don't know why, I decided I would use Air India to travel back to Dubai. Okay. I had the experience of the local airways, like I think it was SpiceJet and it was, what was that? Indiegogo. Yeah. They were okay. Means the Indian staff were predominantly youngsters, like just college freshers. And the females were like kind of strong, like, they were very commanding, but a little bit too strong. Like you would not believe this, but the female actually, when I was sitting down on my aircraft, the female actually came to me, Indian female. She's talking to me. Huh? You were there on TED Talks, right? I was like, yeah. No wonder I saw you. Like, I was like, okay. Like, it was not even polite. And when I wanted to give a feedback, like good service, I always give a positive rate. They didn't want to give me the feedback form. No, what do you need the feedback? They were actually asking me, what do you need the feedback form for? So they were very hostile. Like, and when I insisted, and finally when she gave me, I gave them a positive feedback. Can you believe I put it in an envelope? They actually took it out and they read it, and I could see them reading. Then they put it in. I was like so buggered up, So I think I should have taken that as a kind of like a warning signal that you're going to have a bad time with, Indian managed airlines. But like they say, we all make stupid mistakes. So I booked the airline, Air India, to Dubai. Everything was fine. There was nothing bad. The boarding, everything, check-in on time. The first mistake that I made was, when they call passengers from this to this seat, this to this seat. So my boarding was, my seat was in between. So I also stood up and, you have to stand in line and wait. Nowadays, I don't do that. I go at the end, right after everyone has gone. And I'll tell you why that was a mistake. After I went in, there's a long line, you have to wait. And they ask you, welcome you to the aircraft. That was where the first thing I noticed. As soon as you enter the aircraft, that smell is there, no? There's always the aircraft smell. The air is different. Man, this is not me exaggerating. I'm telling you, on my life, it was like I put my nose into someone's smelly, stinky armpit. It was smelling, like that AIB comedy, this thing. Like they said, you're smelling like a ball sack, sweaty ball sack. Oh, goodness. When I walked in, if you forget to put deodorant and you go out for the whole day and when you come back, that stench, I got suffocated. I was like, what the hell is you? I was in shock. And after that, when I went in, you have that staff the pilot was standing there. He was, okay, welcoming and all that. And that is where I noticed the air hostess. The air hostess for Etihad, for Emirates Airlines, they're always slim. They're always slender. They are beautiful. They're young. in their 20s. This lady was maybe 40, 45. And I'm not saying this just to sound controversial. She was an auntie, an actual auntie with tires. She was wearing a sari, and there were tires that were there at the side. Like you could see her belly almost like, jutting out. Like I'm not talking like an exaggerated, like she's pregnant, but she had a belly with fat. She, and her face, I don't know how they teach you how to put, makeup. And if you put excess makeup and you sweat, it looks like you put heavy powder. She looked exactly like that. See, she was very polite. She was namaste, and she was very courteous, and she was really doing her best. But man, she looked god awful ugly, man. And then, if that was not bad enough, the one thing which I cannot stand for the life of me is a wet patch, an underarm wet. It's like your diaper. When a baby makes piss, like and she was wearing red, red, so it was like dark red, like it looked like as if she was having a period from there. I was like, I for a second I just looked at it and I was like, ah, and I immediately took my gaze somewhere else because I didn't want her to feel like I'm staring at whatever breasts that she had. Oh goodness. And that is where I realized my mistake, that I shouldn't have gone with the line. You know why? Because as I was going forward, people are putting their baggage and everything up. And, when you lift your baggage, your underarm spray blasts on the face. So imagine I'm walking and this guy puts this thing like this. Here I could smell the underarm. I could smell the musky body, this thing. I could even smell their smelly mouth, man. Some of them were so, all this smell. For the first time in my life, I really thought I was going to puke. Lucky for me, in my man bag that I had that Vicks. I immediately took the Vicks. I took it when I was in India for nose block and all that. I started sniffing it as if, you see some of these movies, when they take cocaine, like drugs or whatever, they show, like this, like the Predator Part 2, when that guy, Mexican guy, takes it shows like his drug and his nose is fully, mouth is full of powder. I took in that much Vicks and I was like, I need to get out of here. And nobody is moving. They are not moving, and they'll not let you move. And what's worse is he's not just putting his baggage. Arey, tera bag, dena. Yeah, you give me. He's like literally taking everyone's bag. So I was like, from his underarm, I was like, excuse me. I bent my head and I moved forward, and the walk till near my seat. Now, after I landed near my seat, to my bad luck, I ended up having an entire group of men. All, I don't know, they were laborers or what they were. They were all one full group. So imagine there is seats here, like 3 seats, then there is like 4 seats here, and there are 3 seats there, something like that. And I think they must have been 30 people. And how I knew they are a whole group? Because they were not sitting on their seats like this. They were sitting on top of the seats. Their legs were on top. And they were actually, hey, idhar dena, udhar dena, yare, teri Maggie, yare. And they were as if it was a railway compartment. Nobody's sitting on the seats. And there you had the air hostess come, please up, betiye. And they're saying yes. And they get down, then they go up. And that lady was also losing her patience. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to sit among these guys. I went. I think I was like six seats from the lavatory. And, I had particularly taken a window seat. I always like a window seat. And there's, I think it's like A, B, C, whatever. So I saw my window seat. I saw the number. And lo and behold, there's a lady sitting there, old lady, maybe 50s or 60s. And there is a guy sitting there, husband and wife. And the third seat is empty. Now, I'm supposed to sit near the window seat. So, after I saw that, I told that man, excuse me, sir, this is my seat and all. And I told him this is my seat. It's my seat. I've requested for a window seat. And he's telling me, beta, एक कोई भी सीट होने दो, आप यहाँ बैठिए. What? आप यहाँ बैठिए. I told him, no, I want the window seat. Beta, he's lecturing me. Beta, she is an old lady. She respect her for her age. She is, don't ask her to get up. It's not good. He's lecturing me. And I was like, I told him, sorry, but this is my seat, and because I didn't want to be there at the aisle. And then he's telling me, see, beta, she is a heart patient. At least have some human decency. He's lecturing me. I was like, do I really want to make this a drama right now? So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Which was a mistake I shouldn't have done, and I'll tell you why. So, fine, heart patient, and beta, have some. He's telling me have some decency. So I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll sit there. Okay, kept quiet. Sat there. It was only after sitting there did I realize my mistake. You know why? Because after sitting there, these guys, the aisle, I'm sitting at the aisle. These guys are busy talking, okay? The aircraft is going to take off, right? Okay. Every time they are asked to put the belt, they'll put, but then they'll get up. So all that was fine. Aircraft took off. And there I realized my mistake. You know why? Because these guys, there was this smell which, as if someone died, as if something was rotting. And I was like, what has, cheese, when it's like really like rotten cheese. And I was wondering where that smell is coming from, which was even more overpowering. These guys, they removed their shoes. They were not wearing socks. And man, it was smelling so bad. And that is where I realized I shouldn't have sat at the aisle. And they are literally putting their legs like here. And I can smell. I'm like, oh. I took my Vicks and I kept sniffing, hoping that this would numb my nose. Finally, after he went in the air, that seatbelt thing was going on, and I was getting a headache, and I was like, I'll just go to the toilet to, wash, just freshen up or whatever. I got up, and there were already people there. There was a line of 3-4 people. Remember, I told you, there was like 5-6 seats. After that is the lavatory. So I stood there. There were a couple of people. There was this lady. There was this, I think, 2 guys. 2 guys and the lady. Okay. So one guy went in, still waiting there. Then there's a guy and lady. Okay. The other guy went in. Then there's that lady. And then me. And, when they go in, they push the door and, that latch. Okay. So finally it was my turn. Holy Moses. When I opened, this lady, okay, she flushed. But when you have onions and garlic thrown in the garbage and it's rotting, you know how bad that smells? As it is armpit smell, body odor smell, bad mouth, and smelly feet, and now this. And she didn't even have the courtesy of, you take a tissue and you clean the place where there was water here, soap there, tissues there. I was like, what the hell is this? Like tissues, like you blow your nose or this thing. I was like, man, I can't use this, man. I just went back. Lucky for me, in my bag, I had some wet wipes. I even wanted to go for the toilet to pee. I was like, I'm not going to go to the toilet. I'll hold it somehow. Because, it's a 2-3 hour flight. Okay. So I went and sat down and I waited there and I was like, oh man, I hope this ends. Busy sniffing the Vicks and, I was like, okay, I'll read a book to kill time. Until now, okay, no drama, no nothing, except the smell. These guys, by the time they were talking, I was trying to, just blur out the noise. Even my monitor that was at that interface, no? Some music, whatever, the display was not working. So I was like, okay, hell with this. Lucky I bought the book. And then, they bring the food. Okay. Now, here's another incident. They gave the food and I was eating non-veg. These people were eating veg. As soon as the food came, this guy is asking me, excuse me, what are you eating? I said, I'm eating, non-veg. I think it was chicken or something. He's saying, please, can you not eat this? Not what? I was shocked. I was like, not eat what? No, please, can you not eat? We are vegetarian. This is not good, please. If you can just. So I was like, just imagine a guy who's old enough to be like 50, 60 years. I mean, what are you? So what I did is I called the air hostess and I told her, can you please change this to veg? And she asked me, what is the problem? And then I explained to her. She was like, oh, okay. She was at least understanding. She took it. Some other air hostess lady. She took it and she gave me veg. And okay, I'm eating veg. Now, already this guy has taken my seat. He's already given me a lecture. He's already having problem with the food that I'm eating. And, there is jam and bread and all that. And then he's asking me, Beta, aapko wo chahiye kya? I looked at it and jam and all that. Thankfully, I didn't want. I said, no. हम लोग ले सकते हैं. May like something. So I said, yeah, take. And he didn't ask me like I thought he asked me just one or two. He took all of it. Even, coffee, they give you a creamer. All that he took. I'm like, I just kept quiet. I was like, what is this guy trying to do, man? And he took it and put it in his wife's bag. And I just kept quiet. They take the trays and then coffee comes. I wanted to have my coffee. So luckily, they did give me, the coffee cup was there. They gave me extra creamer, so that was not a problem. Okay. So until now, this has been the disaster. Fine. And I've been courteous to them. So I thought at least, okay, peace with all the neighbors. Finally, it came time for landing. As the aircraft was getting ready to land, these guys all very restless, very happy, fine. And it finally landed. Now, after you land, the aircraft has to travel for some time, right? Before it taxis and stops. Okay. It landed and it's still moving. And all of a sudden you can hear everyone's seatbelts slowly opening. You can hear that tick, click, tick, click, click. And suddenly when the aircraft stopped, okay, the aircraft stopped and you can hear the engines power down. No sooner it stopped, all these guys took off their seatbelts and they all stood up. It takes at least 5 to maybe 5, 6 or maybe 10 minutes before the door opens. But all of them stood up. Everybody. And everyone's pulling out stuff. And that was where one luggage came and almost, missed my head, thankfully. But kind of scratched me at the side. And I was like, why are these people getting up? Like, why are you in a hurry? Like, the door is not going to bloody open. You're just standing. And they were smelling. And I thought that was the end of it. And these two idiots, these old people, they also stood up. And they were like, Beta, stop. I was like, what? He's saying, Aapko nahi jana hai? No, I have to go, but nahi, aap jao na. I said, nahi, aap jaiye. Okay. And they both, man, and sure, that lady was smelling. I don't know whether she soiled her garments or whatever. She was smelling. They both moved. And I went in. And, you're standing like this, and because the height of this, and they all are standing. I was like, what are you guys standing there for? Why are you standing? They have not opened the door and we are all going to go out. Why are you in such a hurry? Do you have a connecting flight? And man, they were so desperate to get out. I was just fed up. I was like sniffing my Vicks and just reading the book. Finally, they opened, I think, after nearly 10 or 12 minutes. And they were standing all the while. And I waited for everyone to leave. I just was so fed up. After everyone left, then I got up. And I'll tell you, as I was walking, each and every seat was completely full of garbage. There were tissue papers. There was like, when you open the sachet, there were stuff thrown there. And it was like as if, you litter the whole place. Like in India, you throw the garbage out. They complete all the seats, everything. Nothing was proper. And some of them were actually stopped. By the way, I forgot to, some of them were actually stopped because they had taken the material, the pamphlet about emergency doors. And some of them tried to steal that. They were stopped and they were asked to return it. So I told they were all standing in a hurry. They all went away. I waited until all of them went and I walked slowly. And here's the best part. After all the rushing and running, they wanted to go so fast. I bumped into all these idiots waiting for the luggage because the luggage didn't come out. So they all were standing there. And after getting the luggage, again they ran. I was going at my own slow pace. I went to the duty free. And when I came out, I still bumped into them at the immigration and finally out. So all this rush was for what? By the way, I forgot to tell you, before leaving, the air hostess with the wet armpits, she was again there to say bye. And I don't know for what. She must have thought she had to do this. I have these tattoos now. She wrote, She did this before, and her other colleagues were laughing. So I was like, well, at least you got to say what you wanted. But I was like, namaste, thank you, bye bye. And I went off. Oh, as soon as I walked, I'll tell you, out of the aircraft, the air felt different. I was so glad. I actually took a breath and I was like, oh, I can breathe. But after that incident, I'll tell you, I never, ever, ever wanted to travel in Air India ever again. The whole experience. I forgot one other point. During when the food and all that was served, these guys kept asking for extras. That was another thing. And one of the in the Emirates flights which I've gone, Emirates and Qatar, sometimes they give you alcohol. Man, if there's an Indian, they always ask for free alcohol. They don't take, these bottles, not one. They take four, five, six. They keep asking, and they'll keep asking even after it's about to land. I've seen these guys having like four, five, six, like as if like they've never seen alcohol, man, and asking for the jam, bread, and all. They put it in their bags, yeah. Like you if you're taking from your own tray, I can understand. Like even I take sometimes when I've traveled with my baby, okay, my baby can have it later if she needs. But you don't stuff everything in your bag and take extras in your bag, yeah. So, and by the way, before I conclude, my neighbor here, she works for Thai Airways. She's a cabin crew. I asked her who's the worst passenger. I thought she would say Indian. She told me the worst are people from Israel because they're very rude. It's more like self-entitled, and even after taking care of them, they still, hey, hey, like they shout in that way. So she told me they are the worst. The only others are, I think, Egyptians or the same. They're like they don't have a very polite way. What? I need. That is how they talk. And then I asked him, what about Indians? Like I was very curious. So she said, Indians are polite. They are polite, but they always want free. They always want this free, that free. They want extra, food and all that, and alcohol. She told me alcohol also. They want plenty of it, and they keep eating and drinking. And sometimes they even have to check these guys. They take stuff from the aircraft which they are not supposed to take. They said, but others they are pretty fine. And the only other thing which she was very hesitant, but she finally admitted, is they smell. They have very bad body odor and very poor hygiene. Apart from that, she said they are manageable, but it's just the smell and the freebies. So this has been the experience of traveling in Air India. And I'll tell you, as soon as I came out of the aircraft, I swore to myself I'll never travel Air India ever again. And true to that word, to this date, even if someone gives me a complimentary this thing, sorry, I will not travel. So this has been my experience with Air India. Let me know, what are your thoughts? Have you had such a similar experience? And yeah, feel free, comment down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. And among all these states, which was one of the worst that you experienced? Do comment. I definitely will read it. All right. You guys take care. This is me signing off. Yeah. Bye.